Right, buckle up. If you thought the Starmer government was already on life support, tonight it was wheeled out of intensive care and handed to the very faction he's been trying to keep sedated. Lucy Powell, yes, the same Lucy Powell he sacked in the reshuffle, has just been elected deputy prime minister by Labour members. Not by Downing Street, not by the public, by the machine. And now the machine is in the cockpit. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because what you're about to see is the clearest proof yet that Starmer isn't in control of his party, his message, or his own job. And for the country, this is where it gets dangerous. Let's spell out what actually happened. Starmer tried to tidy house. He pushed Powell out, politely, carefully, surgically, in a reshuffle designed to centralize power in number 10. That should have been the end of it. Except Labour's base, the activist core he cannot afford to offend, just marched straight past him and returned Powell to the heart of government with a mandate he can't challenge: deputy leader. Translation: she's now constitutionally welded to him. He can't fire her again. He has to live with her. And this wouldn't be a crisis if Powell were a quiet loyalist or a steady administrator. She isn't. She's an ideological North Star for Labour's soft left to hard left spine. The people who think the public's anger about borders is a narrative problem, who call demands for a thorough grooming gangs inquiry dog whistle, who reduce the cost of living carnage to a magic phrase, blame inequality, not immigration. You saw her say it. Calm, contained, smiling. Farage wants to blame immigration for all the country's problems. We reject that. There it is. The line that will now run through every ministry brief, every Sunday round, every talking point. Not because Starmer believes it, because she does, and she just won the megaphone. And here's the political reality that should chill you. Labour's base didn't elect a deputy to support Starmer. They elected a deputy to control him. This is the parliamentary equivalent of changing the locks while he's out for milk. You can already feel the agenda snapping. The public is screaming about immigration, not because TikTok told them to, but because they see the consequences on their streets, in their schools, at their GPs, and yes, in their police reports. Meanwhile, the system's trust has collapsed. Illegal arrivals processed into hotels. Violent offenders walking free by mistake. Victims watching inquiries delayed, minimized, dismissed. And the woman who once waved away a grooming gangs debate as dog whistle now sits a heartbeat from the top job. Tell me again how this gets better. Watch the footage from her acceptance pitch. The room is polite, the message is not. We must be bolder. We've let Farage set the agenda. Immigration is not the problem. And Starmer? He's clapping because he has to. Jaw tight, eyes flat. He knows what that line does to his fragile coalition. Middle England swing voters who lent him power precisely because he promised competence, realism, control. They didn't vote for a seminar on structural inequality. They voted for borders that mean something and prisons that lock. Here's the heart of it. Lucy Powell is the anti-triangulation. She doesn't want to steal soft Tory voters. She wants to mobilize Labour's moral crusade. For the faction now ascendant, any conversation about immigration is othering. Any push for enforcement is performative cruelty. Any demand for full grooming gang accountability is stoking tension. Dang, it's a worldview that treats voter pain as misunderstanding and promises to explain better, not fix faster. That is electoral suicide, and it's national self-harm. Inside Westminster, the effect is instant. Shadow briefings will harden, comms lines will sharpen. You'll hear the same language across the airwaves. Complex systems, long-term solutions. We reject scapegoating. Meanwhile, the public sees meat and potatoes failures. A convicted predator released by clerical error. Violent migrants slipping through vetting. Police told to manage impressions, not threats. Britain is not ideological about safety. Britain is practical. Powell's politics isn't. And don't kid yourself. Starmer cannot neutralize this. Deputy leaders aren't ornaments. They are power centers. They choose candidates. They stack committees. They set the tone inside the parliamentary party. They control the activists who fill the rooms and write the leaflets. If number 10 says tighten, Powell's network says loosen. If number 10 says focus on the NHS and cost of living, Powell's network says talk about structural oppression. If no, 10 whispers. We need a tough line on border security, Powell's network shouts. That's a Tory frame. The tail doesn't just wag the dog, it writes the dog's diary. Now layer on trust. Grooming gang survivors have been waiting for a full, fearless inquiry, one that names failures, names motives, names cowards. They've been fobbed off, kicked into the long grass, told to be patient. With Powell elevated, what signal do you think they're hearing? Exactly. Back of the queue, against the most vulnerable, sidelined again, because the narrative might make someone uncomfortable. This is why tonight matters. It's not a personality drama. It's a course correction, away from hard choices and towards soft language, away from enforcement and toward explanation, away from the normal British instinct, protect the innocent, punish the guilty, and towards a politics that apologizes to everyone except the people who were failed. You want proof it's already breaking? Look at Labour MPs who privately begged number 10 not to pick this fight. They knew what a Powell victory would mean. A divided top table, a permanent internal audition for the next leader, and a message where Labour cannot win. Telling a country on its knees that its instincts are wrong and its fears are unfashionable. And if you think the country isn't paying attention, go stand outside any commuter station at 7 a.m. Ask people who don't read Hansard what they need from government. They'll say the same three things in the same order: safety, sanity, stability. Right now, they feel they have none of the three, and Powell's victory tells them they're not getting them anytime soon. Meanwhile, Reform smiles. The Conservatives sharpen their knives. Every clip of Powell rolling her eyes at grooming gang demands. Every line dismissing immigration as a Farage framing. Every segment where she celebrates a community festival while ignoring the one across town too scared to walk home at night. It all writes the ads for them. Starmer can't disown it. He's now chained to it. And let's talk brass tacks, policy. With Powell in, watch for 3 pushes and judge for yourself if they help or hurt. 1. Messaging over metrics. The promise will be bolder storytelling, not shorter waiting lists. Expect big speeches, small delivery. Britain's patience for that theater is gone. 2. Welfare expansion by stealth. The activists who carried Powell over the line want caps lifted, thresholds widened, dignity restored, funded by a growth fairy that never arrives. In a flat economy, that means higher taxes, lower investment, slower everything. 3. Immigration reframed, not reduced. The plan will be smarter, safer, fairer, but not tighter. You'll hear skills-based, humanitarian routes, legal pathways, while enforcement and removals remain the quiet embarrassment of every week's figures. None of this is hypothetical. It's encoded in the speech you just watched. It's the left's "we tried nothing and we're out of ideas" packaged as moral courage. And it's back in power tonight because Starmer couldn't keep it out. He knows the trap. If he leans Puddle Ward, he loses the country. If he fights her, he loses his party. If he does nothing, he loses both. Which means Britain faces months of drift. A prime minister avoiding a deputy auditioning for the premiership, and a government paralyzed by a family feud they can't afford, and we shouldn't have to suffer. So here's the blunt truth. This isn't a reshuffle hiccup. It's a constitutional migraine. Labour's members just handed the second highest office in the land to a politician who thinks Britain's core anxieties are communications errors. The public won't buy that. They've lived the consequences. If you agree the country deserves leadership that protects first and lectures never, share this video. If you're a survivor waiting for justice, you deserve to be heard, not dismissed as a dog whistle. If you're a voter who lent Starmer your trust on the promise of competence, watch what happens next. The masks are off, the factions are loud. And the person whispering in the Prime Minister's ear isn't whispering what you think. We're going to stay on this story because it's not a 24-hour headline, it's the new operating system inside the government. Subscribe so you don't miss the internal leaks, the policy pivots, the constituency backlash that's already brewing. And drop a comment. Does Powell's win make you more or less confident that Labour will fix borders, crime, and grooming gang accountability? I read them all. Britain asked for grown-ups. Instead, it got a custody battle. And tonight, the side that won the keys doesn't think the house is on fire.